we're always at the same basketball events together, and it's weird that the first time we actually physically met was last week.
Yeah, which is good, and I missed you at Complex Con, so thanks for coming by the booth.
Of course.
Yeah. I guess we could start off by talking about, 2K and how it's kind of integrating fashion into the game.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we decided, we had this way for people to make clothes in the game, and that wasn't never going to be a sustainable thing because, everybody wants to aspire to be a fashion guy, but you guys have really, broken the mold and done some amazing things. So we just wanted to give the facility for fashion people to, put their clothing in the game. So we kind of did a small pilot last year with, 2 years ago, 2K19, with Don C and Jerry Lorenzo, and we had some pretty massive success. Jerry dropping the Fear of God ones and having that hit on Sports Center in our game, and Don obviously is one of the biggest fashion guys in basketball, so having him be part of it, and he did a panel about 2K this year at ComplexCon in Chicago from where he's from.
Oh, nice.
But it really gives a bunch of fashion designers the facility to be in the game and get their clothing out there, and even do drops at the same time that their clothing drops. So it just brings a lot more eyeballs to their product. And we have so many kids that play our game. We're over 10 million units sold. So it's a great platform, even better than even TV or print or any other medium to kind of get your product out there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, how video games have become this massive thing. And obviously it probably hasn't happened overnight. And I've been playing video games when I was a kid, and, from Super Nintendos and all that kind of stuff. And where it's going these days is you're almost like your reality is inside this video game now. And sports and fashion definitely work well together. You see that the NBA with the tunnel walks.
Yeah.
I'm glad you integrated that in there, because that's one of my favorite things of the NBA.
Yeah, we're trying to, with the game, we're always trying to be as authentic as possible, and fashion has always been a big piece of it. You even think about some of the suits that I always think about LeBron's draft day suit that was about 17 sizes too big for him, but
that was the style back then.
That was definitely the in. But things have changed, and now, for the Rockets have a red carpet for their fashion stuff literally before every game as part of the tunnel, and that's taking it to an extreme. But a lot of people are trying to. We're trying to be as authentic as possible, and fashion is a big piece of it. And what you're wearing in the tunnel. Even when I played in the celebrity game last year, I was thinking about that tunnel shot and what I was wearing and what I was repping. So
what did you wear?
I wore Amiri jeans. I wore Shoe Surgeon shoes. I was holding my adapts that I played in the game in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what shirt I was wearing. And I was wearing a Ben Baller chain. I don't remember what shirt I was wearing. It's probably just whatever.
So that's kind of cool. You got the opportunity to kind of do what those guys do, with their tunnel walks. They have to do it 85 games a year.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it that often. But, again, something that all of these guys have to think about every day. And when they're out in the public eye, I do so many events as well. So you got to make sure that you're representing the brand well. And the first thing people see is what you're wearing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always agree with that. And you definitely have to, you have to set a good example, and, people want to see what you're wearing, and that's kind of that's where you go with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think as far as the game goes, people really want to be as loud as possible in the neighborhood, and some of that is how they game and how good they are and how much flashy dunks or passes they're doing. But a big part of that is actually what they're wearing. People are always trying to dress as crazy as possible, look as different as possible out there, and stand out in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I actually told this story on a podcast I did a couple weeks ago, but I was at KD's house last year. It was a week after the game launched, and him and I play all the time, but it was a week after launch, so you would think, okay, he really wants to get in and play and work the face of 2K in the game, but instead he sat there for 45 minutes buying a bunch of stuff at Swags, which is our in-game store, matching outfits. He just sat there for 45 minutes just oh, this purple hoodie would look good with these gray and black jeans. Like, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But I guess, that look and feel is about even your in-game brand, and that's important to a lot of guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, some kids that can't like actually go and buy the clothes that they buy in the game, they can aspire to that through the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I think that's a cool feature.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good point. Like the Jerry's, the Fear Gods, they're a limited run, right? Like a lot of these hype beast things are a limited run. But in our game, we pride ourselves that it's fully accessible. Like maybe you can't afford or, win it on sneakers or whatever, a shoe, but you can definitely get into our game, which is almost as cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, obviously you're not going to replicate real life 100%, but if you as close to it as possible is always going to be
totally.
And I guess that's the plan for you guys, is always to try and take it to that next level.
Yeah, in all facets of the game. I mean, music is obvious. You think of 2K, you definitely think of music.
Yeah.
You definitely think of basketball. Obviously, you definitely think of fun gaming stuff. But now you also have to think about fashion.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you have a boutique in the game, right?
Yeah, we have. It's called Swags. It's gonna be interesting what we do in the future. I mean, there's so many ways that we could go, but that's worked for us. Like people jump in there, they wear an outfit, they go down to the shoe store, buy shoes, they get tattoos at the tattoo parlor. Like every store's got their kind of element thing.
That's really cool.
And then every week or two we drop a fashion designer. So like, in a couple weeks we'll be Jerry, and I'm sure Don's coming as well, and people that are new this year. Hopefully one day we'll figure it out with you.
Yeah, I mean that would be great, and that would be exciting for us, and definitely something that we would love to be a part of.
Yep.
Because we're big in with the NBA culture. We have the Adidas hoops, collab.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we also, a lot of the guys wear our stuff coming into the tunnel. So I think it would be a great fit.
No, I see it all the time, and we've always been a big fan of your brand. So hopefully we can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And then what's the plan of I had an idea for 2K with regards to the shopping experience. I thought it would be cool if you could go, not to give you advice on it, but I thought it would be so cool if you had the actual physical boutiques of these brands. So you can go down Rodeo Drive or something like that, or go to Barney's. I know Barney's is shuttering, but like that kind of thing. Would that ever be something that's possible in the game?
It's possible. We've talked about pop-up shops and things like that.
Yeah.
The struggle is you want to make sure that the environment is as lively as possible. So like individual stores might be a little challenging just because
a department store would probably work better.
And the problem is, like, would you ever go to, it'd probably be a quote unquote Barney's or something like that.
Yeah.
Which would have all the clothes. I mean, we sort of have that, but I think a pop-up element would be really interesting. Like, I think, we just have this warehouse that changes for, and honestly, like, it probably should be alongside a collection. So, like, let's say on February 14th, you're releasing your spring collection or whatever the date is.
Yeah.
We would brand in the game, it's Daniel Patrick Day, and you walk in there and it's all Daniel Patrick clothing. Could we do something like that? Potentially. We're always thinking of ways to innovate. And I mean, it's sort of like if you walk into Maxfield, right? And Maxfield is transformed into Daniel Patrick stuff for a day, right?
Yeah. Kind of like
just like a pop-up element, of course.
Yeah.
I think that there's something there for us. What it looks like, we're sort of still figuring out, but this is so new for us. And I already think that we're way ahead of the game and how we're treating fashion. I can't think of another video game that has real clothing brands that are represented within the game. I can't think of another one.
I think it's great, and I think it's exciting for the brands to get in there.
Yep.
And then also, like, basketball for me is culture. So you're connecting music, fashion, and the actual sport itself together, and that's how it is in real life.
Yeah.
So you're creating that experience like it is in real life. And
and then usually what I'm trying to do is if you have a particular influencer that we work with, having them digitally in the game in those clothes next to their physical likeness in those clothes, right?
Yeah.
And that so you can kind of blur the lines and connect the dots. And 2K has always been kind of that blurring the lines type thing. Like when you everybody talks about it, but when you're watching a game of 2K or playing a game of 2K, it's very hard to distinguish between real life basketball, just the way the players move, obviously graphics. But I'm sort of thinking the same thing with clothes, right? Like, can we innovate to the point where we're launching items of clothing at the same time that they hit retail, and then having that look and feel on a certain person? Let's say, I'm just going to make this up. Let's say Quavo wears your clothes, right? Then can we also show Quavo in that clothing in the game and kind of retrospect those two things together? I think there's potentially something cool there, but in a couple of years, I mean, we've only been doing this for a couple of years, and I feel like we've done a really great job in this space. But the future is, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always, like I always say, there's always areas that I can improve on my clothing, and I'm sure you feel the same way. And you're like, and you see those things more than other people probably, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, and our community is great, always giving us ideas and feedback and stuff. But like, we're always also thinking about that stuff as we work on it.
Yeah,
you just can't do everything in 1 year.
Yeah, it takes time.
It's a multi-year process. A lot of video games come out 4 or 5 years apart, and we're challenged with coming out every single year. But I still think our development team does a tremendous job innovating year over year. You look at just like you go back and play 2K even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it's like it is evolved. A completely different game. And what people play in the game is completely different as well.
I mean, I guess that relates to fashion too, because we have to come out with 2, 3, 4 collections a year. So you have to come out with something every year too. So it's
hard to be like long-term strategic that way when you're thinking of your next collection. How do you think about a collection 2 years down the road?
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
7 collections between now and then.
Yeah, because when I work with Adidas, we work further out than what I'm working on my mainline stuff. So it works out, but yeah, you're definitely working on a longer timetable.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't always think that you need as much time, because then you just like start procrastinating and start adding like, oh man, if I could just get this perfect, and
adding polish and kind of getting paralyzed with an analysis.
Yeah, because honestly, you could perfect something all day long, and you could still find areas to improve, and that's that's definitely what. I mean, that's what kind of keeps me going as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I think the appetite for the consumer also that keeps you going too. Our fans are always challenging us to be better and think about evolving, and we know we're evolving. But of course, and there's a million other things we want to do. We just have to. We're always prioritizing and trying to put our best foot forward.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know you've just taken a job with Fox and WWE.
Well, we're not announcing that for another few days, but
okay. Well,
as long as you're not pushing this for a few days,
this isn't coming out. This won't come out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I've always been a big wrestling fan. 2K makes a wrestling game, so they were pretty excited that I got the opportunity to host a show on Fox Sports. It's alongside the WWE Backstage show that's been kind of the talk of the wrestling community for the last couple of weeks, because CM Punk debuted last week. I haven't watched last night's because I was doing dress rehearsals at Fox last night, so I need to watch it, what his first appearance was like. But it's just exciting. It's just fun. Getting to talk wrestling and in front of an audience like that, in front of WWE superstars that I sort of idolized as when I was younger. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
for sure. And then you're connected with obviously NBA 2K. Are you connected with any of the other 2K games? Or
not really. I give kind of opinions and thoughts, having worked at 2K for almost 12 years on social media, just best practices and how we leverage influencers, and some of the kind of marketing stunts that I've worked on NBA and how they might cross over to Borderlands or WWE or other titles. But I mean, NBA is a beast. Like, that game is a monster, and there's so many facets to it. I really feel like there's maybe next year I want to do some sort of vlog series or something where people get a better sense of what day to day looks like. It is big business.
Yeah.
Partnerships, like you even think about like Dorna's in the game, and like Express is on there. Like, what just to support that Express partnership, I just did a commercial shoot. The reason I'm bringing up Express is because I just did a commercial shoot with them on Friday to support the in-game stuff, right?
Yeah.
And but that's just one partner, and that's just one part of our operations, and it's just one thing. But it's an amazing franchise to be as big as it's become, culturally and just staff wise. You know, like we have almost 500 people that work on NBA now, across marketing and development, and
all based up in
most are based. I mean, we have some international offices, but most of them are based up in the headquarters in the Bay Area.
Yeah, that's crazy to me because always EA Sports was big when I was a kid.
Yep.
And, you know, that's like going through the 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
So you guys have kind of taken over that space.
Basketball has become quite a territory for us to go after. I think we just were ahead of it when it came to, you know, building around an influencer and an individual person, right? Like the older games, even us, right? Like 5-on-5, quick game, playing, you know, me as the Bulls and you as the Lakers or whoever, like that is kind of not as important now as my career and being able to play as yourself and scanning yourself in the game and going to the neighborhood with your outfit choices and whatnot. Like
it's a different world.
Totally.
It's like that movie, Ready Player One. Have you seen that? Yeah. Very similar.
And what the crazy thing is, everybody always asks me, like, what are you going to do on next year's 2K, both from a development and marketing standpoint. And I'm always, my first instance is like, man, we just blew it out of the park. I don't know where we can go from here. But then you think about it in another retrospect where we're sort of in our infancy. There's so much we can do in terms of all the cultural aspects and tying basketball to, you know, other things like fashion and whatnot.
Yeah.
This whole open world thing is new. Like when we started making it about the individual, the sky's the limit again. Like there's so much more we can and want to do. And then technology just keeps getting better. You know, like you just mentioned Ready Player One, but like there's virtual reality. There's a lot of other ways to kind of expand where we might go.
Yeah, soon you'll have like a 2K suit that you can put on and start
maybe
playing.
We'll just let you do mocap from your house. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's an exciting space. Gaming in general is exciting, but obviously getting to work on the NBA, which has just got a rocket ship tied to its back. Everybody talks NBA 365 now. You remember like a few years ago, like basketball was cool, really in the playoffs, and that's about it. I mean, now honestly, like I thought that free agency this past year was way more exciting than the finals themselves.
Oh, I totally agree. And I was actually super excited about the result, and it kind of like with the way they spread the talent out across the league, it just makes an even more exciting
who's gonna win the championship this year. I think it's totally up in the air.
And one thing I love right now is you got the Lakers on top in the West, and in the East you got the Celtics.
Yep.
That's like old time rivalry.
Back to old school. Yep.
So imagine that as the finals. This year.
You know, the only other team that needs to wake up one of these years is the Knicks. I mean, New York needs basketball. It really does.
I think the Nets might.
Then the Nets are going to be more exciting.
Yeah, but I definitely want to see the Knicks do well, just based on
it's the brand cachet.
Yeah, exactly.
Madison Square Garden, Spike Lee, you know, all those moments.
Patrick Ewing.
Knicks, Patrick Ewing. It'd be great for the league if the Knicks, came back.
Most definitely. And then there's a Space Jam movie coming out. Is that going to be related in 2K at all, or you can't say?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Because obviously there's licenses and that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff,
I mean,
right?
Space Jam's doing their thing. It's more about the Warner Brothers stuff. But I mean, it's cool that LeBron's doing that and, implementing some of his buddies in that movie. I think it should be fun. I was a huge fan of, the original Space Jam. Can you believe it came out 23 years ago last week?
That's crazy. Yeah. Because my son is big into that movie too. I got him on it.
It's 23 years old now.
That's
that thing
insane.
Could drink and drive.
Yeah.
Well, not together, hopefully.
I mean, that's there's so many cool things about like the past coming back to the present, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that really speaks to the fashion world too. You guys are doing so many things in retro and all of these even fashion cycles, right? Like you
like I
think
do
about,
I do a lot of 90s references and 80s references
I
in
see.
my clothing.
Totally.
And then early 2000s stuff is coming in now.
You know what's
too.
hot right now? We couldn't walk around ComplexCon at any booth. Every booth had tie dye, every single one.
Yeah.
And so like that movement's back. It's just it goes in cycles, but everybody has their iterations on it too.
Yeah, it definitely comes back around, but in a new form.
Yeah,
because some of the fit, like of what you were wearing maybe in the 80s and 90s, needs an update.
Yeah,
but you take the elements of that and the spirit of that, and you put it into the clothes.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a great job of that. Your brand's super exciting, and it's very cool to be here in your studio.
No, I appreciate you coming. So yeah, definitely look forward to more with 2K, and stay tuned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.